twitch.tv/Jayfunktastic.
It is tweeted. Retweet. Fantastic.
Hang on just 1 second. I think I know what the issue might be.
Okay.
Because my video, like the connection just keeps like going in and out. Hang on 1 second.
How is everyone doing today? It's almost Halloween. This month is going by fast. It's going to be Christmas soon. I'm not ready. Definitely not ready. Ooh.
Okay, that might help. Shutting off everything in the house that's using Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Figure that might be one of the problems.
Everything looks good on this end.
Okay. Yeah, you're sounding a lot better on my end now, and I've got all my tabs open and everything, so I'm all set whenever you are.
Okay. I am good when you are.
Okay.
All right. Nobody's in the chat yet, but we can go ahead and start. We ain't got to wait on everybody. I should have had a countdown going.
Yeah, I figure they'll start piling in.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Okay.
In 3. Oh, wait, I need to restart. I never paused that. That's just empty. 18 minutes of silence. Hold on. 3, 2, 1. Do you like the show and you want to help support us? Want us to stay ad-free? Do you want extra episodes every month? Well, of course you do. Then head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. Become a Patreon supporter of this very show. Greetings, programs, and welcome back to another Halloween horror edition of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
Ooh, we're here early today.
Yes, so for those who are listening on the download, we're actually recording this Sunday morning. We usually do the show on Wednesday nights, but I'm going to be going out of town this week, leaving Wednesday afternoon to spend the weekend in actually an extended weekend in Tennessee. So figured we'd record the show earlier in the week. That way we wouldn't miss an episode.
Fantastic. You're going to be in Gatlinburg too, so I'm kind of jealous because Gatlinburg is awesome, especially if you're a pancake fan. Are you a fan of pancakes?
Oh, I love pancakes.
Dude, they are lousy with the pancake restaurants in Gatlinburg.
Really?
Yeah, you think we're bad with the Waffle Houses down here? No, it's they're like even 10 times worse with the pancake houses, because they're literally like every other restaurant is a pancake house, which I'm fine with because I'm a pancake connoisseur. I love me some pancakes.
Do you prefer pancakes over waffles?
It depends on my mood, really. But if I had to say, I would say I probably prefer pancakes over waffles.
Yeah, it's really close because you really can't go wrong either way.
I mean, it's not like I'm gonna turn down waffles any day of the week. That's like asking me, which do I like better? Empire Strikes Back or New Hope. It's kind of like I love them both, but one maybe slightly more than the other.
There's a 50s themed diner here in town called Scenic 90. They make red velvet pancakes.
Oh, I've never had that before.
They are amazing. You will feel like you're on the highest of sugar highs
Oh my
after you
god.
eat them, but man, they're good.
That sounds amazing. Oh my god, that sounds so good.
So if Pensacon does happen as scheduled, if you come stay for the weekend, we got to go to this place.
Oh, absolutely. We got
You
to go
will.
there, and then we have to eat lunch or dinner at McGuire's.
Oh yeah, that's tradition.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that has to happen.
So this last week, I participated in the RGB High Score tournament for with Castlavania, and it didn't go well for me. I did some really good runs, and then just the game was actively against me. So I did a couple of resets, and eventually got to the point where I was running out of time, and I got to Dracula on my fourth run. I got to Dracula, and I had 10 minutes left, and he killed me the first run through. Uh, in the second run through, he killed me when he had one hit point left, and I ran out of time. So it was a nail
Man.
biter, but all I could get to was Dracula. I didn't actually finish the game.
But still, I mean, I think the fact that you actively participated in it, that's half the battle. Because I know a lot of people who say, "Oh, I'm going to do something like that," but
Yeah,
then never actually do it. The fact that you even attempted it, I think, is really cool.
I think if I'd had 5 to 10 more minutes, I could have killed Dracula. But I just ran out of time, and I just had a couple of really good early runs, but then later in the game, it just sort of was actively against me, like dropping bad sub weapons and couldn't get through certain parts of the game without, the holy water. It was started to turn into a wreck in the last few levels. So I would restart, blast through the game to those last level, and then the same thing would happen. I'd get a bad drop or something like that, and it's just the game just felt like it was actively against me.
Yeah, I know how that goes, but still, I mean, I think the fact that you did it. So is this like a monthly thing? Like, do they do monthly iterations of this with different
Yeah,
games?
they do it every month. The first month I did it was Ninja Gaiden. Then last month I didn't get to do it. I was out of town, or was thought I was going to be out of town, but COVID messed that up. But it was the first Sega Sonic One for Sega
Hmm.
Genesis, and then this month was Castlevania. Not sure what next month's going to be. Staff Sergeant Sketch has joined us in the chat room, and no, sir, you did not lose 3 days all of a sudden. It is still Sunday. And I think Derek's frozen. Hold on. Oh, there he
Still
is.
Sunday morning.
Yep, still Sunday morning. So how was your week, or last couple of days?
So while you were doing your Castlevania run, I had the chance to work a ESPNU broadcast over in Mobile for the University of South Alabama. So it was a 2-day thing. It was Friday was the setup day, which we drive over, set up all the cameras, make sure all the equipment's working and everything, and then we were done for the day. But my job, because I was a last minute addition to the crew, I was what you would call a runner,
Mhm.
which is essentially running a and that's what I was doing all day on Friday. Run, I had to go out and get supplies like water, snacks, all that type of stuff. Then I got back to the stadium, then had to run out and do more errands. Came back, hung out for like 5 minutes, and then had to go to Lowe's to pick up some other supplies. And then I got back, and the engineer who was essentially in charge of the whole production hands me the keys to his rental car and says, "I've got a bit of a longer errand for you." And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "I need you to go to the airport in Pensacola to pick up a bag we forgot."
Oh, that sucks.
So I drove to the airport, went through a little bit of a hassle trying to get the equipment case, but I did end up getting it,
Hmm.
and then got back to Mobile, and I saw a few of the crew members were getting in their cars, and I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me." So sure enough, I get out, I give the guy the case, and he's like, "All right, you're good to go now."
Oh man.
So then I drove back home. And for those who don't know like, exactly where I live like 2 minutes from the airport here in Pensacola. So I essentially, it was almost like I drove home, then drove back to Mobile, then had to drive back home.
And that's what,
So that
about
was
an
my Friday.
hour drive to Mobile?
It was so where the stadium is, it's right on the South Alabama campus. So it's a little bit more of a drive than
Yeah.
45 minutes, more like an hour 15.
Oof.
But the other kicker was yesterday I had to be at the stadium at 6 a.m.
Ugh.
So I had to leave around 4:30 in the morning.
Damn, I would have just gotten a hotel room.
Well, that I was thinking about that, but then I was like, I'm essentially like I'm taking part of the money that I'm getting paid for to then pay for a hotel. So that was
Yeah.
kind of my logic of I'll just drive back home.
Yeah, but you'll spend
And then
most of it
it
on
was
gas driving back and forth.
yeah, it's true. But yesterday wasn't too bad. I had to run out I think 3 different times, but it was all stuff that was within like 10 minutes of the stadium. And then probably like the last half of the game, I actually got to go on the field and watch some of it. So that was cool. And
That's
then
cool.
broke down all the gear and got back here around I think 6. And I'll tell you this, when I laid down to go to bed, I was out.
I'm sure. Sounds like a long weekend.
Yeah. And now we're here.
Oh yeah, Mixmaster has joined us in the chat room. Mixmaster, happy Sunday, and you missed the Castlevania talk. I actually only got to Dracula because of some bad decisions and bad game mechanics. Had to restart the game a few times. But yeah, if you want to go back and watch my video for it, and maybe just like scrub through it and watch some highlights, it's still up on my Twitch channel, and you could go watch me actively get my ass kicked by a video game. So yeah.
We're going to blame it on bad game mechanics.
Oh yeah. I'm ready to go into the news. How about you?
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to talking about this first story.
Awesome. Let's do this. From NintendoLife.com, Microsoft has a very good relationship with Nintendo, but isn't making any promises moving forward. Xbox games should have access to full ecosystem, says Phil. Microsoft and Nintendo have collaborated a lot lately, but there are no guarantees moving forward, according to head of Xbox Phil Spencer. When asked by Kotaku this week about the possibility of more Microsoft published games coming to other consoles like the Nintendo Switch, Phil replied with the following. It doesn't feel sustainable. In order to really support it, I would want a full Xbox ecosystem somewhere, and that probably means things like Live and Game Pass and stuff. He also says, we have a very good relationship with Nintendo, and I think we see our work very synergistically in terms of trying to grow the market, and it just makes it easy. Every conversation we have with them has really been easy. So what do you think about this has been going on for quite a while now, and I actually meant to say this on the show a couple of times over the last few weeks. I have a weird feeling that Xbox and Microsoft are going to team up here pretty soon. Maybe not like a full team up, but I think there are going to be some very cool crossover stuff between Nintendo and Microsoft very soon.
I think so too. And I remember us talking about this a while back on the show about this being like a potential possibility. So I think it could be very interesting because it's a team up that I don't think you would really picture Microsoft and Nintendo, but
Yeah.
I think if down the line it means that we get cross promotion, like it would be weird seeing say like, and this is just me speaking hypotheticals here, but it would be really weird to see like a Zelda game
Mm-hmm.
on an Xbox or Halo being available for the Switch. It's that would be like the ultimate dream scenario because I know of so many people who say I would love to play a Zelda game, but I'm not going to get a Nintendo console just for it. I
Yeah.
think if you hypothetically were to put Zelda on the Xbox, it would sell amazingly well. Same thing with other Nintendo properties. And I know something that might be a pipe dream would be that Microsoft also owned a company called Rare. And
Hmm.
the Rare and Nintendo back in the 90s and early 2000s. If something were to come out of it, I think it would be really cool. Maybe we finally see remastered versions of, Banjo Kazooie and I don't know, even like Star Fox Adventures, games like that on the Switch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool things that could happen, but I don't know, like with Phil Spencer saying that he would want a full Xbox ecosystem, I don't know that that would happen with Nintendo.
Well, when he says things like that, what I think they're talking to each other about is, Nintendo notoriously has a really bad presence online as far as their online capabilities and things like that. But Microsoft, they're going all in this generation with the online stuff. So if Microsoft and Nintendo could come to some sort of agreement, I don't think that that's too far fetched to think that you could have a Nintendo Microsoft synergy there as far as online stuff. Have some, like, it may not be out of the realm of possibility to have Game Pass on your Nintendo Switch or a next generation of Nintendo Switch. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, and you can have Nintendo stuff over on Xbox, Game Pass. Stranger things have happened in the world, but I think that maybe Nintendo is talking with Microsoft about how to maybe make their online presence a little better. And I have a feeling that that's Nintendo of America and not Nintendo of Japan, because they are notoriously 20 years behind everyone else when it comes to an online presence. Like, they don't understand Twitch. They don't understand that Twitch games and Twitch gamers playing their games is actually advertisement, or YouTube videos as advertisement. They see it as money being taken away from them, but they just don't understand that that's free advertising for them, and it's going to take them a long time to learn differently. Rampage has joined us. What's up, Rampage?
What do you think Sony would think of this?
Oh, they'd be pissed. I mean, I like Sony, don't get me wrong, but they are really going to lose out this next generation, I think, because they don't have a strong online. I mean, they do, but they don't have it to the extent that Microsoft has it. Because Microsoft has the whole ecosystem as far as computers and Windows and all that stuff. Sony is kind of, they're a huge company, but they're still lagging behind in that kind of stuff.
Well, I feel like Microsoft, from day one, they've had an advantage with that because they're Microsoft. And I think when we had the previous battle of, the Xbox One versus the PS4, when it came to system hardware, I preferred the PS4, which is why I got it.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it as, for the most part, the same games are going to come out for the same consoles. But I feel like with this next generation that's coming up, Microsoft has really stepped up their game. And to me, I would be more likely to get the Xbox One X as opposed to the PS5,
Yeah, same here.
like we've been talking about the last couple of weeks.
I mean, I may get a PS5 eventually, but that
No, that's
Xbox One X, or the whatever the new one's called, just Series X, just looks way
yeah,
too tempting with that Game Pass.
yeah, I agree. It's going to be very interesting. Like, I'm very interested to hear more about this possible synergy with Microsoft and Nintendo over the coming months, because some very good things could come out of it.
Yeah. What if we get
But
Master
we'll
Chief?
we'll have to see.
Get Master Chief in Smash Brothers.
Oh, don't tease me with that. Dude, if they got, imagine this, if they announced Crash Bandicoot and then like a month later they announced Master Chief.
Wow, that would be awesome.
Talk about things that you thought you would never see in your lifetime
Oh yeah.
as far as being a gaming fan. That would be one of them. That would be freaking nuts. But our next story also comes to us from NintendoLife.com. The Switch has now been the best selling console in the US for 22 consecutive months. That's a new record. Also dethrones the Xbox 360. Earlier this week, the NPD predicted the Switch would be the best selling console this holiday season in the US. The device is apparently in high demand, with households expected to pick up multiple units in the fourth quarter. Adding to this is the lack of available inventory of new PlayStation and Xbox systems, which will supposedly leave the Switch as an appealing and available option. If you weren't already convinced the Switch's success is set to continue, in addition to this, it's now been highlighted that the hybrid system has been the best selling console hardware in this location for 22 consecutive months straight.
That's a
All the way
long
back to
time.
December of 2018, around the time the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was released. So, what do you think? I mean, the previous record holder was the Xbox 360, which was the best selling console for 21 months from August 2011 to April of 2013.
I don't know. I just think the Switch is just such a good option for everybody right now. Just for the sheer fact that it's a hybrid system. May not be the best graphics or the best. Really, it's sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. But at the same time, it's Nintendo, and people don't care about that stuff. The people that love Nintendo don't care about graphics or PCU power or whatever, or CPU power or whatever. They just want good games, and Nintendo has some of the greatest library of games, and plus it's such a cool system. I mean, it's gonna continue to be a smash hit for Nintendo, up there with the Wii. It's gonna do Wii numbers or close to it before this thing's done, and it's still got what, at least another 2.5 years of life left in it.
Yeah, I think it's the combination of all those things. The fact that it is a system that you can take wherever you want, because especially with the pandemic and people having to stay at home or go out to open air spaces like say a park or somewhere like that, you can take your Switch with you and play it wherever you want. And I think, does it have the strongest library? I don't think so, but I think it has enough where you have Breath of the Wild, you have Mario Odyssey, you have great multiplayer games like Smash Brothers, like Mario Kart. You have, I think, enough of the retro games online, and also indie games are huge right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Nintendo is the darling console for indie games.
Yep.
So the fact that you can download these games and take them wherever you want, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. The fact that the Switch has been doing, I don't think we expected it to do maybe as well as it's currently doing, which I think is partially due to the pandemic. But I love seeing this, because we've been, I know this was before you and I met, but I was still flying the Nintendo flag when Sony and Microsoft rose in relevancy when it comes to video games, and Nintendo was almost like, oh, they're still around. Like people
Yeah.
were actually asking if Nintendo were still around. So the fact that they've made this huge comeback with the Switch
Mm-hmm.
is awesome to me.
And the sad part is Nintendo has the Star Trek disease where every other movie, every other system is great. And there's always that one system that's kind of doesn't really do that well. So the next system probably is not going to do great like the Wii U, but the one afterwards is going to do gangbusters. I think Derek is frozen again.
I'm curious as to what the next like iteration of.
Hold on,
Can you hear me?
I'm going to pause for just a moment. Um,
Okay.
just kind of let everything catch up for a second, because you lagged out real bad there for a minute.
So weird.
Yeah,
Like I literally restarted my router less than 10 minutes before we started.
I mean everything's good on my end. I don't know. Maybe should I switch servers? Go to Central maybe. Try that and see what happens. All right, let's see how that does.
Okay.
Seems okay so far. All right, well, here we go. All right, in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. I forgot what we were talking about before things went to crap. I know we were talking about the Switch.
I mentioned what Nintendo's next console could be, and there's actually some good comments in the chat. Mixmaster says they should name it the Dolphin, which was the code name for the GameCube.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. I think Nintendo's next console is gonna be virtual reality.
They should call it Virtual Man.
Yeah, the Virtual Man. I don't know. I think Nintendo's going to come out with something VR related that's going to knock the socks off everybody.
Well, I mean, I think there's some truth to that, because it seems like Nintendo, with their last few consoles, they've been trying out new technology. And I know that it hasn't been talked about as much, but Samsung did their whole VR headset that you could put your cell phone in if you had a Samsung phone. So I could see Nintendo going down that avenue. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. And for our next story, this comes from news18.com. Analog's latest retro gaming console runs CD-ROMs and supports wireless controllers. Analog, the maker of premium retro gaming consoles, is expanding its portfolio to the launch of Duo, its all-in-one NEC video game system. The latest Duo console is capable of playing almost every game that runs on the NEC's library of old-school hardware, including TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine, SuperGrafx, and more, all in 1080p. Additionally, the latest Analog Duo features an original-style cartridge slot, controller port, and CD-ROM drive, making it compatible for game formats like HuCards, Turbo Chips, and CD-ROM. The console by Analog is slated to release next year for $199.99. And one of the highlights of the Duo gaming console is that it supports Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz connectivity. It means that users with 8-bit Bluetooth or 2.4 gigahertz controllers can play games on the console wirelessly. It also includes a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, volume rockers, a USB slot, and an HDMI slot. What do you think about this? I mean, I've been playing the TurboGrafx 16 Mini. This might actually be kind of cool to have, because you could play the original games on this thing, and it seems like it's got some pretty good hardware under the hood.
The thing I'm curious about, it says here playing almost every game that run on NEC's library of old school hardware. It says including TurboGrafx, PC Engine, SuperGrafx, and more. I'd love to see a full list of what it actually can play. But I think the fact that it's just $200, it sounds really powerful. It's got some great options.
Yeah.
I would be actually very interested in this.
I mean, for $200,
and I'm not saying it like in a bad way. I'm saying that I would love to know like the full list, because it actually sounds really impressive.
Yeah. And to go back to the Nintendo thing, Rampage brought up a good point. He said he remembers some months ago Nintendo filed some kind of patent for dual screen, so possibly the next step for the Switch. We did talk about this. I think we did a while back, and that seems like a no-brainer.
We did.
For a next generation of the Switch to have that second screen, kind of like the 3DS did. I think that would be probably the logical next step for the next iteration of the Switch.
Give it the DS treatment?
Absolutely.
I'd get behind that. But no, this analog system actually sounds really cool, and seeing the picture of it kind of looks like a PS2.
It does.
A little bit.
I was thinking that exact same thing. I don't know. I mean, if you're really into the TurboGrafx or the PC Engine, this seems kind of like a no-brainer to pick this up.
And it says here, last year the company launched the portable Analog Pocket that's compatible with games from Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about that?
I think we did. I have a memory of us talking about that. I think we did.
Interesting. But no, I'd love to find out a little more information about this, because it actually sounds really cool.
Yeah. This next story is pretty cool. I might actually get in on this.
Yeah. This next story comes to us from techradar.com. The Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro is the ultimate retro gaming Prime Day gift. If you've been following the retro gaming scene in the past couple of years, you might have noticed that miniature versions of retro consoles have been hot stuff. The Neo Geo Arcade Stick, a peripheral which also includes a collection of old SNK games you've probably seen at the arcades, in one form or another over the years, is one of the best. For Prime Day, Amazon is discounting the Neo Geo Arcade Stick, which is both a standalone console and an actual arcade stick you can use when playing other games. You just hook it up to your TV via HDMI and enjoy these classics on the big screen, which includes King of Fighters, Fatal Fury, Metal Slug, and Samurai Showdown. It's a more niche selection than your SNES Classic or PlayStation Mini, but that's sort of what's great about it.
And it's not bad for Amazon Prime Day. It's going to be $96 for the Arcade Stick Pro, which is pretty much what I would get. It outputs at 720p, and then you have the other one, the Arcade Stick Pro Player Pack for 160. It's got two controllers that come with it, but I would just get that Arcade Stick Pro.
I love the look of it,
It
how it's
does
just
look
so
cool.
like clean and
Mm-hmm.
sleek.
Because I
You
was
can go on
always,
the Amazon link and it gives you like a more like detailed look of what the console actually looks like.
mm-hmm.
It looks pretty a lie.
Yeah, because I used to be enamored with the Neo Geo back when I was a kid because it was that console that nobody had, everybody wanted. You know, it had arcade. You know, it was so advanced for a home system, and it was so expensive. I mean, I remember it being like, wasn't it like 600-800 bucks back when we were kids, and games were like $200. Like only the richest of the rich kids had a Neo Geo.
Weren't VHS tapes really expensive too when they first came
Oh
out?
yeah, they were like $100. If you, I remember the VHS tapes. If you lost it or damaged the tape, it was like $80 to replace it at Blockbuster or whatever. Everything was way more
And
expensive.
we complain about $60 games being too expensive.
Yeah. Let's see for our second, or is this the last story? Let me
This
see.
is our last story.
Awesome. From lifehacker.com. This is just a little short story I want to throw in here. Get these free Sega games on PC before they're gone. With Sega celebrating its 60th anniversary, a collection of PC games that are free to download for a limited time, plus numerous other sales and freebies available through Steam. 4 of the free to keep games were developed or resurrected specifically for Sega's 60th birthday. Each one represents different parts of Sega's multi-decade history, but they'll only be available to download for a day or two depending on the title. October 16th through 19th, Armor of Heroes. 16th through 19th, Endless Zone. October 18th. What is the date today? So you got today, if you're watching this live, to go get Golden Axed, and then Streets of Camaracho. I've never heard of that one. Available 17th through the 19th. And you can go download them free on Steam once they're available. Oh, in addition to those 4 titles, Sega's giving away a couple of old school classics, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the 19th, and Nights into Dreams, an oddball Sega Saturn game. Doesn't say anytime within the next 60 days that one's available.
You know, I've never really been that big into Steam, but I might take advantage of this strictly for Nights into Dreams because I've wanted to play this game since I was a kid because I didn't have a Sega Saturn, so I never had the chance to. So that might be the one that I take advantage of in this. Streets of Camaracho, the thumbnail from the trailer looks pretty
I
interesting.
know, it
So
does.
it's an arcade style beat 'em up. It blends the Streets of Rage's gameplay and 16-bit graphic style with the Yakuza series' popular characters and settings.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
That
to.
actually sounds kind of cool.
I'm gonna have to start up my Steam and go get a couple of these.
Yeah, I think I might have to do the same.
This is cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you're listening live, go grab these today before they're gone.
Yeah, most of these are available through the 19th, which if you're listening live is up until tomorrow. So you've got you got today and tomorrow to do it.
Fantastic. Well, it's time to move into this month in video game history. In October of 1978, Namco releases their first arcade video game, GB, in Japan. For a minute, I saw that when I first looked at this, I thought there was a Bee Gees video game. And Derek's frozen again. Hold on, I'm going to pause real quick. Oh, Derek's real frozen. There he is.
There we go.
All right. All right.
Internet had a little bit of a hiccup.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. And Derek's back. But I don't know if you heard me. And when I first saw this in there, I thought it said BG. And I was thinking it was like, a disco. Something about the Bee Gees.
Like the Bee Gees?
Yeah.
No, it's not about the Bee Gees.
No. I've never heard of this game before. Ever.
Though that would have made sense because this was the time that. Yeah, I haven't either. I think the poster looks kind of interesting. It's got the North American arcade flyer on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
I like the color scheme of it. Like it reminds me. Let's see, this was 78. I don't know. I think more of like the 60s when I see like the font and the color scheme and everything.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I thought this story was kind of interesting. That it's I believe it was Namco's first arcade game,
I did
which
not
is
know
crazy
this.
to think about.
It did have 2 sequels, it said in 79. Bombi and Cutie Q. Never heard of either of those.
Bombi sounds like an energy drink.
Yeah. Get you a Bombi today!
I love it. Let's see. October of 1981, Atari Incorporated releases Tempest, one of the first games to use Atari's color quadrascan vector display technology. It was also the first game to allow the player to choose their starting level, a system Atari dubbed the skill step.
Holy crap, I love Tempest. I would love to have a Tempest machine. Did Arcade 1-Up ever make a Tempest machine? Because that would be one I would love to have. Tempest was great. I have a lot of memories of playing Tempest at the skating rink when I was a kid.
Let's see.
Tempest is one of those games that should still be around.
There is. Oh, this is unavailable.
Unavailable.
There was an arcade 1-Up. There was an arcade 1-Up machine that had Asteroids, Major Havoc, Lunar Lander, and Tempest.
Yeah, but the thing about Tempest is you got to have that. It's not a trackball, but it's the twisty, sort of like dial that you play with. Like that's like the main component to play Tempest is with that kind of that knob controller.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the actual name for it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, even Rampage said it was the knob on there because that was the like, hitting the knob or turning the knob and hitting the fire button. Like that was just, man, that was such a cool game.
Rampage comments my face whenever I was frozen. I was probably upset because my internet's for some reason it's been crappy all morning.
Yeah, but you just had a hurricane.
I needed to use it for the show, so
you just had a hurricane a couple weeks ago. Everything's probably still hiccuping over there.
Probably so.
Let's see. October of 1983, Coleco releases the Atom home computer. It is only on the market for 15 months. I do not remember the Atom computer. That is some 80s looking shit right there.
Yes, sir. Looks like it belongs in a factory.
It does.
Do you remember? It was in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie. I think it was early on. I think they were doing some type of test to find out like the location of the the golden tickets or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they were in this like white room with these really bulky looking old
Yeah.
computers. That's what this makes me think
Yeah,
of.
that's what this looks like. Like this would be totally on a sci-fi movie set. Like I could see this being in a in like THX 1138. Like this would be the computers they'd be working on.
Yeah.
This thing was holy crap. Check this out. This was 700. The introductory price was $725, and that was 1983. One adjusted for inflation, that is $1,861.07. This thing doesn't even have a monitor.
That's another 3,000.
Almost $2,000 that doesn't even have a monitor. Just has the tape deck.
Jesus.
It's crazy. I'm so
It,
glad
it's
we can get computers for like $300 now.
Could you imagine paying $2,000 for that?
Well, I kind of did with my iMac, which the iMac is worth it because I've had it for like
Yeah.
8 years now and it's still going strong. So that thing only lasted 15 months, so that was the equal of $2,000 down the drain.
That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
In October of 1984, Falcom releases action role playing game Dragon Slayer in Japan.
Dragon Slayer.
I want to say we've talked about this game before.
I'm sure we have because I remember us talking about this the cover art because it looks straight out of like Conan, like that. Who was it that did the Conan art? I can't remember his name. The painter that did all those cool Conan paintings. I can't remember his name, but looks very much that realm. Like you would see this painted on the side of a van back in the late 70s.
The crazy thing is, this never came out in the US. Like, I'm looking at the release dates. It came out for Sega Saturn as part of the Falcom Classics in November of 97, Japan only. Game Boy in August of 1990, Japan only. Super Cassette Vision, there's a name for you.
Whoa.
In 1986, Japan only.
Gotta love that Super Cassette Vision. And here's one of your favorites right here. October 18th of 1994, Sonic & Knuckles is released. It allows a player to connect previous Sonic games to the cartridge, making Knuckles playable in them. And we've talked about this many times before. That was such a cool technology that I can't believe didn't take off. They could have done so much with Nintendo could have done so much with that technology.
In a way, like, it makes me think of the Super Game Boy, but it's also different in the sense that with Sonic and Knuckles, you connected two console games together to create like a brand new experience. And I can't believe that this was not expanded on. And I know I talked about this more in detail when I did my Sonic and Knuckles review, but this was so innovative back in 94 because you had these old games that you just plug it into the cartridge and it gives it a brand new experience. And the cool thing was, if you plugged in Sonic 3, you essentially had two games in one with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is one of the coolest gaming experiences that I ever had when I was a kid. And even, going back and playing as Knuckles in Sonic 2, it gave it just a whole brand new life. And yeah, I can't believe that maybe Nintendo didn't want to do it because it would have been looked at as copying Sega.
Yeah.
But even Sega didn't really do it.
Yeah.
After this.
So weird. Such a good technology that they just left lying on the floor,
Yeah, I can't understand why they didn't do anything with it. But to close us out for this month in video game history, on October 19th of 1999, Pokemon Yellow, the special Pikachu edition, is released for the Game Boy in North America. I mentioned this before, but Pokemon Yellow kind of started the trend of the third Pokemon game that would come out with each generation.
Yeah.
And Yellow was created mostly because the cartoon or the anime was so popular that it's essentially the same game as Red and Blue, but with elements of the cartoon incorporated. Pikachu follows you around. He's your starter as opposed to your choice of Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle. You get all three of those Pokemon later on in the game. You run into Team Rocket, who were extremely prevalent in the anime. So, and also some of the character animations and looks were changed to more accurately depict their cartoon edition. And this is still today my favorite Pokemon game of all time. I love Yellow.
Yeah,
It was so good and so fun.
you're our resident Pokemon expert because you're speaking Swahili to me when you're talking about Pokemon.
The
The
Pokemans.
Pokemans. But before,
Mixmaster says he has Sonic and Knuckles on Wii,
yeah,
but never went through it. Just played the first couple of stages. I mentioned this before, but it's my least favorite of like that generation of Sonic games. But I still enjoy it.
didn't you?
It's
You
not bad.
reviewed that, didn't you?
Yep.
Ah, I remember. I think I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I think there might be one more of the classic Sonic games that I have left to review. But as far as like the ones that I strictly grew up watching or not watching but playing,
Mm.
that was like the last one. But I can't remember what the other. It might be. I think Sonic 3D Blast was on the Genesis too, or that might have been a Saturn deal.
I don't
I
remember.
can't remember, but I know I still have to review that one. But I didn't really like that game that much.
Before we
But
go
yes,
into
Rampage
the
Sonic 2 is still the best.
Before we go into the review for today, Derek has some shout outs.
Yeah, as always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Armez Jackson, XBlade07, Daniel Salmon, John Jekyll, aka the Mixmaster, Carlos Longoria, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Randy Bailey, and Tyler Watson, which, by the way, Tyler, thank you for the Pac-Man 2 shout out on
Yeah.
Twitter the other day. If you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon, you can head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And because we are still at the $50 level, we'll continue to do the really fun commentary tracks for you. And I believe this month you're actually going to get 2 for 1. We're going to be doing a commentary for an episode of The Real Ghostbusters, as well as the awesome Pac-Man cartoon. So we'll be recording that, I believe, next week.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to keep us at the $50 level, you can head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro.
Yeah, I know we were supposed to do Mask of the Phantasm this month, but we decided to push that back and do that over the Thanksgiving holiday. So that's going to be your Thanksgiving release, is Mask of the Phantasm. I really wanted to do. There's a particular Ghostbusters episode I want to do that's perfect for Halloween that we're going to do for this month. So we hope you guys enjoy it, because it's one of the creepiest episodes ever for that cartoon series, and I cannot wait to do it. But let's go ahead and move into the review. Tonight, Derek is going to be talking about... And Derek is frozen again. Oh, man, let me pause again real quick. Come on, internet.
All right, can you hear me?
There he is. All right. Let me move us back to...
Okay.
Let me move us back to
Yeah,
south.
I heard the music for like...
Yeah, I'm going to move us back to south real quick. All right. There we go. Okay. Hopefully that'll hold out better now. Oh, and Mixmaster,
Okay.
tell your son we said hi.
Yeah, I heard the music just fine for like 5...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on
Say
with the
again?
internet today. You had some really bad hiccups. Come on, internet. We got like 20 more minutes.
At come on. I mean, I could restart the router again.
That's up to you.
See if that helps.
I don't know. Are you sure everything in your house is off that could be drawing
Yeah.
something from the Wi-Fi? Maybe you should
Yeah,
hardwire in. Can you
let me
hardwire into it?
That's the thing, I am hardwired into
Oh,
it.
really? Ew. Maybe you
Yeah.
need a new. Maybe you just need a new router.
That could be it. Let me restart it again.
Okay, I'll entertain everybody
See if that might help.
while you're gone.
Okay. All right.
Anybody got any questions they want to discuss? I have my join us or die coffee mug this morning. All right, and thank you for any of you guys that watched me the other night for the Castlevania run. That was heartbreaking, man. I had some really bad drops there towards the end. That was one run. I was on a pace to do a sub 20 if I'd have just gotten to the last level. But I was on the death level, the level right before the final level of the game, going that hallway towards death, and the first, and I had my holy water and full health going through the hallway, and I get to the first knight with a shield, killed him, and as I'm walking past him, he dropped a freaking sword, and I picked it up. I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. Maybe we might record them live. I'm not sure. That might be kind of tough to do with everybody, especially with lag and everything. And then there was the last time I had the second time I got to the Reaper. For some reason, I was trying to jump and throw the holy water at him, but for some reason my jump button wasn't working. I was hitting the jump button and he wasn't jumping. He was just throwing the holy water, but it was going under death. And I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't see you.
Let's see.
Is your camera off?
Shouldn't be.
Maybe it's just taking a minute. I don't know. Let me see.
It's weird. I'm testing it and it looks fine.
Um. It's weird. There we go. Now we got you back.
Freaking technology's fighting me today.
Yeah, now you're coming in crystal clear. Maybe we should have done that from the beginning.
Maybe from now on, I'll just restart the router like 2 minutes before we start. That
All
nice,
right.
fresh connection.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Sorry about that, everybody. We finally got everything crystal clear now on the internet connection. So, all right, got the game music out of the way. Derek, take it away.
Okay, so we mentioned last week, you reviewed a Castlevania game, and I was like, you know what? We'll just keep the Castlevania train rolling with my review of Castlevania for the Nintendo 64, also referred to as Castlevania 64. It was released in 1999. Is an action-adventure video game developed by Konami's Kobe branch for the N64 video game console and was published in Japan as Demon Castle Dracula Apocalypse, which is actually a pretty cool name. But as has been documented on this show before, Castlevania is a series that is relatively still new to me because I didn't grow up playing Castlevania like you did. I was really kind of introduced to it through doing this show and then watching the animated series on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember years ago, like this game coming out for the N64, but I never played it because I wasn't into Castlevania. But I figured with Halloween Horror Month, why not give it a try? And plus, I was also curious to see how it would adapt to the 3D world as opposed to 2D, like a lot of those classic franchises did, like Mario, Sonic, Zelda. All those franchises had to, in a way, reinvent themselves
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. So that was my biggest curiosity factor when playing this game. And I'd also heard very mixed things about it. I've heard some people like it, some people don't. But I figured with me not being as big of a Castlevania fan or not as knowledgeable, I might be able to give a interesting perspective on it. So I started playing it, and the first thing I noticed, and something that surprised me, because I read nothing about this game before I started playing it, you had the option to play as two different characters. You can select one of the game's protagonists, which is Carrie Fernandez, a young orphan girl gifted with magical powers, or Reinhard Schneider, the whip wielding heir to the Belmont clan, which I was surprised that his last name wasn't Belmont.
Yeah. Schneider.
Yeah, I was
Why?
like, is he like the ancestor of Rob Schneider?
Yeah.
Like the comedy
Or
actor?
Schneider from One Day at a Time. Like and it's
That would
weird.
have
Like that's my first question about this game. Like if you're gonna play a Castlevania game, you want to play the whip wielding hero. Not that it's not cool to have different heroes to pick, but why like a little girl or the whip wielding heir to the Belmont clan? Like that's no brainer.
I mean, why couldn't you just name him Belmont?
Yeah, why Schneider? That's
I
so
mean, Reinhardt
stupid.
Belmont is not the greatest name, but it's still Belmont,
Yeah,
and it makes it more consistent with the rest of the games.
Belmont just
Now,
sounds cool. Like that's a cool last name, not Schneider.
if I ever have a son, I should name him Belmont.
Yeah,
I don't know, Belmont Diamond, I don't know how well that sounds, but
Belmont Diamond.
anyway, anyway, I didn't entirely dislike the option to play as a second character. I think it's kind of pointless because the Belmont name is so synonymous with the Castlevania series, but I figure I'll be objective, I'll try out both. We'll see how it goes. Now, something that I did like about playing two separate characters, it does give you almost a separate experience playing through the game as Carrie, because she has different abilities and you have to do not necessarily different objectives, but you play through the game in a different way because of the powers that she has, as opposed to
Oh no,
a
internet! Don't
sword
you
and you
do
have
this to me. You had a hiccup there for a
I
second.
break. Oh, no worries. But anyway, I like the fact that it gave you a different dynamic playing through the game. That being said, I much prefer playing as Reinhardt as opposed to Carrie, because again, if you want to play a Castlevania game, you want it to have that Castlevania feel where you have, the whip wielding hero, and you have the other sub weapons that you can get that you use throughout the game. But when you play as Reinhardt, it feels more like Castlevania, whereas when you play as Carrie, it doesn't.
Yeah,
So I don't entirely dislike the option to play as a second character, but I much prefer playing as Reinhardt because, I want to play a Castlevania game.
yeah,
Now, from what I've played from the old Castlevania games as compared to this, I don't entirely dislike the evolution from 2D to 3D, but as we've complained about in the past with the Nintendo 64, it has a couple of problems.
yeah.
Now, I look at it as this is a product of its time, but there are some things technical wise that I think are to me inexcusable. Like the look of the game, yeah, the graphics are not the greatest, but most N64 games are not the greatest looking. I'm not knocking the graphics because they're a product of their time. and that's what I expect. But the biggest complaint that I have from a technical standpoint about this game, the camera mechanic is atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. I fell off of cliffs multiple times because I couldn't manipulate the camera to see where to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would jump to this cliff area to grab something, and I try to go back, but I can't move the camera, and I ended up falling off, the section, because there's this one portion early in the game where you're having to jump across broken pieces of a stone bridge in order to get to like this side of a cliff where you collect something. I try to go back, I can't move the camera at all, and I completely miss where I was going previously, and then I had to restart that whole area all over again.
That just
So,
sounds not fun.
no. And actually playing it, like the general mechanics aren't bad. They're very simplistic in a way, but again, I look at it as kind of a product of its time. I can go back and play Ocarina of Time, and like your sword slashes and hacks are relatively simple, whereas they're much more complex as the series progresses. So that I kind of look at it as a product of its time. But man, that the whole camera thing just really, like, it frustrated me to the point that I didn't want to play the game anymore.
I have not played this game since it came out in '99 sometime. Probably that summer of '99. I remember renting it, and I never bought this game. I just remember renting it, and that was the one thing that drove me crazy about it. And I don't remember a whole lot from the game. I just remember being really frustrated with it and just going, this just sucks, and stop playing it after, the first day. I was like, I can't do this. This just does not, like, being such when I was a kid, going from the original Castlevania to Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo, leaving video games for a few years, in my college years, and then coming back to buy a Nintendo 64 in 1999 and playing these games. Like, I loved Super Mario 64, Resident Evil 2, all those games, like the Rogue One games and all that stuff. But man, trying to play this was just, it was broken to me at the time. Like, I just remember not having any fun playing this game.
Yeah, just some comments in the chat. Rampage says that I'm a poor soul having to play this abomination. I've heard this one too, because Mixmaster says it's the second one, Legacy of Darkness, is way better. I was reading about that, after the fact, because I've only been able to play this game over the last couple of days, so I didn't get too terribly far into it, but it felt like, and I could be completely off in saying this, but it seemed like it was almost like an incomplete game.
Yeah.
It felt very like buggy and glitchy in certain places, almost like they rushed it to get it out.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why, because if you have a sequel that, apparently is way better, why wouldn't you put your all into making this the best that it can be? And
Even
it's there's
Mixmaster, I'm sorry, Mixmaster even mentioned that in the chat a little while ago about how Legacy of, what was it called?
Legacy of
Legacy
Darkness.
of Darkness was basically this game remade. I'm trying to look
Interesting.
back because I couldn't find anything about that.
Yeah, he says they rushed out the first. It has
Yeah,
stages from the first, and they took out the annoying ones.
yeah, yeah. Castlevania Legacy of Darkness is this basically remade, and they rushed it out. I don't know. There's just something about a lot of those games in this era, and we've talked about it a lot. That this was that transition from 2D to 3D, and this was a brand new gaming world. The 3D gaming, and we didn't have the controllers for that. I don't care what people say, that GameCube controller is crap. And then once we got to the original Xbox and PlayStation 2 era with the dual analog sticks and you know the graphics are just ugly in this period. I don't know. I just don't like. People would love to have a Nintendo 64 Mini, but I'm just saying, like, I think you guys are looking at this era with rose-colored glasses, man. It wasn't good. And those games don't look great. They play like crap. I mean, as much as I would love to go back, I have Shadows of the Empire that I want to go back and play, but I'm scared to because I know it's going to play like crap, and then I'm going to have this ruined memory of how much fun I had with that game.
No, and you're absolutely right, because I have gone back in recent years and played Shadows of the Empire. It was when I did it, for a review of the show. But yeah, I think sentimental value and memories can, in a way, taint the realism
Mm-hmm.
of games from this era. And I'm not even really knocking the graphics, because I was expecting it to not look good, because I know most N64 games do not look good. I mean, there are some from like the very late stages of the N64 that don't look bad.
Yeah. Well, you look at the Nintendo 64 compared to GameCube, and that's what, just a couple of years difference. It's night and day. The Nintendo 64 games look like just garbage compared to GameCube games. Like, you play GameCube games today and they look really good still. And that, we made that transition. Once we got to the GameCube era, that transition was good. We're like, okay, we know how to do this now.
Well, and people also forget the early PlayStation games
Yeah,
look like crap
they're
too. Like, you look at
terrible.
the original Crash Bandicoot game, it looks terrible.
Yeah, those games are awful. And that's why I think the PlayStation Mini didn't do great, because that era of gaming, console gaming from 1996 to 1999 was just awful. I mean, people had fun. The Nintendo 64 did have some good titles. The PlayStation did have some good titles. But you go back and play those now, and they're terrible. They're just awful.
I'm curious now to go back and play Legacy of Darkness to see how much better it is than this version, because I'm not going to lie. I really tried to sit down over the last couple of days and play through this game, and I would make it to certain points, but then I would just keep dying for like the camera reasons and the fact
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't play very well. And honestly, it frustrated me to the point that I would stop playing it. Then I would try again later and be like, okay, well, give it another shot.
Yeah.
And then the fact that it would make you start back at the very beginning and go through all that crap again
Mm-hmm.
to then just die for essentially the same reasons. I was like, I can't do it. Like, I just could not do it. And I wanted to like this game because I felt like they were onto something, but they just didn't quite get there
Yeah.
when it came to like the transition from 2D, because not all of them have worked. Like, I don't think Sonic is that great in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Mario made the transition, but the Castlevania, I feel like, and after I play Legacy of Darkness, I could think differently, but I feel like Castlevania is one of those series that is best left to the 2D mechanic,
Well, I don't know.
because it works so well.
I think the 3D it can work in 3D. I think it's got a great I love the world of Castlevania. I just think if they would do it in a sort of a Elder Scrolls style of gameplay, like that style of gameplay, or like I keep saying, like the Devil May Cry style gameplay of that really cool, that kind of combat system, like the Batman Arkham games, that kind of combat system would be perfect. But that those early attempts at the jump into 3D, a lot of these games just couldn't make the cut, man. I don't know what made. I'd still to this day I couldn't tell you what made Super Mario 64 work, but it just did. And I don't know if it was just simplicity or I just don't. I can't. It's one of those things you can't pinpoint. And even the Resident Evil series, that camera sucks, but at least you had it locked in a position, and it would change to where you could see what you were doing. But there were so many games like this where the camera just didn't work, and you end up, like you said, falling off of ledges, and just game breaking, horribleness.
Well, I think the reason why it worked with Mario is because you look at the original Mario Brothers run from Mario Brothers to, I'd say, Super Mario World. Your objective is to go through each world, and your primary attack is you jump.
Mm-hmm.
But you get the other power-ups like the cape, the raccoon tail, things like that. They were able to port that over to Mario 64 because the jump is still your primary attack, but then you can do the double jump, the triple jump, the somersaults. So you're taking that basic concept and you just add a little bit more to it. That, and you add in the vibrant, colorful world of Mario 64, and I think that's why it ultimately worked. But with other games, like with Sonic, it never worked because also of technical reasons. You know, like in the Sonic Adventure games, the camera is horrible and also caused me to die,
Yeah.
much like Castlevania 64 did. So I I don't know, like I really wanted to like this Castlevania game because I've enjoyed going through and playing all the old ones.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the mechanics are so bad, it it weighs it down for me and it made me not want to play it. So
Yeah.
like unfortunately I can't give like a in-depth review of the game from start to finish because of the fact that it is a product of its time and it shows that yeah these games, while we might have fond memories of playing them, and maybe it's because we didn't know any better
Yeah.
because it's kind of what we had, so we just had to deal with it, but
Yep.
it wasn't good. It
Um,
just was not good.
I just have a feeling, a lot of these N64 games that we're going to be reviewing over the next few years, we're just not going to look back on them kindly. There are some that are great and some that are just bad. And Mixmaster asked if we played the Lords of Shadow games for the PS3. It was Castlevania Lords of Shadow. I never played those, and I know there was a Castlevania game for the 360, and maybe those are what I'm asking for. I need to go back and play those. But no, I never played those. Castlevania was kind of off my radar for quite a while through that whole era. The Xbox 360 era, the PS3 and PS4 era. It was just kind of out of my radar at that point. I really didn't get back into Castlevania until we started doing this show. And it was one of those games that prompted me to want to start doing this show again, back in
Mhm.
2016.
We've been talking about our thoughts on this game, or mostly my thoughts on this game, but interestingly enough, the reception of this game, it received generally positive reviews. It has an average of 78 out of 100 on Metacritic and 73% at Game Rankings. At the release, most critics considered the game to be a good transition to the series despite many changes in gameplay. It praised the graphics, audio, and gameplay, saying the developers have done a fantastic job of capturing the atmosphere and spirit of the series while providing a well balanced, challenging gameplay experience that's filled with pretty visuals, awesome, though limited music, plenty of secrets, and some incredible bosses. But it says here,
I think they were
the
being a little generous.
yeah, I would say so. And it says here the camera and the controls, however, were heavily criticized. Game Revolution stated that the camera made the game barely tolerable, saying getting a good view of the action is almost impossible. So players finding themselves just making do with a bad camera angle. This, of course, often leads to death. And
Hmm.
regarding the controls, the control itself is a little frisky. Most of the control problems are found in the speed of the character. Moving close to an edge in order to jump to a lower platform is tedious. I do agree with that. You end up mastering the lemming dive because you were able to do it with some degree of success. Control feels too float at first, and the camera can be painful. So, I there were things about it that again that I liked that they were going with it. Like I didn't hate the atmosphere that they created because I felt like it was going in a good direction. But again, it just feels like the developers just stopped at a certain point and said, "No, this is good.
Maybe they
We'll
did.
put it
Maybe
out
they
there."
just ran out of time. I mean, that's, back then, that was something they had to come up against, too. If they had a hard release date, they're working with a new technology basically with the N64 and 3D gaming. Maybe they just ran out of time.
One thing, and I didn't make it to the ending of this, so I didn't get to actually see it myself. But one thing in reading this that I thought was kind of cool, that there are two different endings to the game, and it depends on how long it takes to complete it. So if you take 16 or more in-game days to reach the second chamber on the stairs to the castle keep,
Uh-oh.
his character named Vince them been defeated by the vampire assumed to be Dracula and turned into a vampire, which will trigger the bad ending.
Hmm.
And then let's see, and if it took 15 or fewer days, you will have arrived before Charles Vincent, which will trigger the good ending. After finding the vampire disguised as Dracula, they will encounter Malice, who transforms into an adult and defeat him atop the clock tower. After his defeat, Malice will regain the form of a child. Attempting to dupe the hero, he will pretend to have no recollection of the battle, but Vincent will arrive and douse the boy with holy water. Vincent explains that Malice was not possessed, but in fact the reincarnation of Dracula. Malice then transports the hero to an alternate realm to battle his true form, a centipedal dragon. After Dracula's defeat, the player will receive one of the good endings. So I like games like that where if you like say get to the certain point at a certain time, you trigger an ending. If it takes you
Yeah.
longer, it triggers a different ending. That way, I like that because it gives you replay value. Because sometimes, like in this case, I would have taken longer, so I would experience the other ending, and then try to beat it in quicker time to experience the other ending.
Yeah.
So I do like that, but just for anybody who might be curious to play this game, I would honestly say save yourself the headache and don't worry about it because it again there are things that I liked about it. I liked where they were going with the atmosphere that they built, but it feels like an incomplete game, which
Yeah.
is sad to say, but from what I have played of this game, and I can't give it a full review, but from what I played on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it probably a 4.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's not a good game.
I think that's fair. But if you're a
But
Castlevania
I'm
completist, by all means, go play. But I don't think you're gonna like it.
yeah, and we've mentioned this before, not every game we review on the show is going to be this amazing experience that we enjoyed going back and revisiting or a new one that we missed out on that we say, "Oh man, I can't believe that we didn't play this game when we were younger." But some of them aren't good, and
Mm-hmm.
this is one of them.
Yeah. Well,
But
at least
Mixmaster
you.
says if you haven't played it back in the day, I'd say skip it.
Yeah. Same thing. I think that's with a lot of those N64 games. If you have really good memories of some of those games, don't go back and play them because they're not gonna hold up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so those are my thoughts on Castlevania 64.
I don't know what I'm gonna review next week. I got a code from a indie developer for a game called Wallachia, so I may try that for next week. It looks sort of like a Castlevania type of side scroller for the Switch, so I think I may do that for next week. Um,
Nice.
but I'm glad we're getting through the Castlevania series. I think we've pretty much gone through most of the early 80s and 90s era Castlevania games, other than Symphony of the Night. We still got to play that one. And did I do Castlevania 2? I think I did 1, 2, and 3. I think I completed that trilogy. I have to go back and look at the archives and make sure.
I will actually do that right now.
Because I
Let's
think
see.
I'm pretty sure Symphony of the Night is the last one we got to do for the 90s era Castlevania games.
Let's see. Castlevania. Let's see. Castlevania, Super Castlevania 4, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, Bloodlines, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest,
Mm-hmm.
and Rondo of Blood
All right, so I
are
think
the ones we've reviewed.
all we have left is Symphony of the Night. So one of us will have to tackle that. We'll maybe save that for next October.
Yeah.
I think everybody might be Castlevania'd out at this point. I know I am after this month. Playing Rondo of Blood and trying to learn everything from Castlevania 1 to speed run it. Like I'm a bit Castlevania'd out right now.
Understandable.
But what would you like to got any last news bits before we leave here for this lovely Sunday, which is now afternoon?
Well, one cool thing, and I know I mentioned this to you a few days ago, but I'm going to be for the Derek Diamond Experience this week. I'm going to be re-releasing the interview I did with you and Wally, where you guys talk about the making of Monsters Anonymous.
Awesome.
I'm going to go through and actually remaster the audio, and that will be out this upcoming Thursday for everyone's listening pleasure. And you should go out and watch Monsters Anonymous on Amazon Prime because it's a very good and very funny movie.
Yes, perfect Halloween movie to watch.
Yes.
So yeah, I can't wait to go back and listen to that. It's been a while since I went back and listened to that.
We did that actually before we started Nerd Cave Retro.
Yeah, I know. Whoa.
Because I remember you guys filmed it, I think, in April of 2016.
Wow.
And we did the interview, I think, right after that, because it was. I'm trying to remember. I think that was right after I did my 100th show. Because it would have been like 102 or 103. So it was right around that time.
Crazy.
Yeah. Lots changed since then.
I know. A lot happens in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But
what about you? What do you have going on?
Not really a whole lot this week. I'll be doing some open mics around the coast, doing some social distancing. Actually, next weekend, I'm going to be out of town doing some filming for the 48-Hour Film Festival. It's a closed set. We're going to be taking a lot of precautions. And, Thursday night, we'll be doing open micers here on my Twitch channel at 7 p.m., and that's pretty much all I got going on live this week. I won't be doing too much streaming because I'm going to be very, very busy this week. And no live streams today or next Sunday because I actually have a couple of engagements this afternoon. I got to get going here pretty soon because I have a Zoom call this afternoon with the cast and crew of the movie I'm going to be working on next week. But yeah, just be here 7 o'clock. Thursday night right here for open micers, and that's just about it.
Oh, real quick, next Monday we'll be doing our roundtable on Evil Dead.
Oh yes,
for my show. That'll be 7:30 p.m. This not tomorrow, but a week from Monday, which will be the 26th.
Yes.
So I'm gonna be setting up Streamlabs where I can actually stream to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube.
Fantastic.
So you'll have multiple ways to watch it, but it'll be myself, you, and Mr. Steve Wise. We'll be talking about Evil Dead, which I'm very excited to do. So be sure to check that out next week.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and call it a day, shall we?
Yes.
If you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. You still have 2 weeks or a week or so, about a week and a day to get those MP3s into us for the episode 200. So get that to our email. We're at nerdcaveretro.com. We're also at Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro, and individually at Jayfunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. We're at Facebook at facebook.com/nerdcaveretro. We are also on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, where if you give us a couple bucks a month to keep the lights on, we will do those commentary tracks every single month for you guys. If you can't do that, can't leave us a couple bucks, that's okay. It's hard times. Leave us a review wherever fine podcasts are sold. So, Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yes. Play.
Monkey.
Damn soundboard. That was a fun show.
Yeah, minus my internet crapping, which I think I'm going to break down and get a new router
Yeah, that might be the best
sometime
thing to
this
do.
week
That's
because
what my
it's still.
yeah, that's what my router was doing before I got this new one. Once I got the new one, everything just super fast now. Yes,
Yeah, so
the
I might look
Mixmaster,
at
the
options.
November 4th episode is episode 200.
God, it's crazy to think that's in 2
I
weeks.
know. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out this afternoon. I need to get running because I got to get ready for a Zoom call here in just a bit. And Derek, it was good talking to you today. So thank you
Yep,
guys. We'll see you
absolutely.
next week. Bye.